Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Dragon Quest. We are here in Galen's Grave, which is essentially the first proper dungeon of this game, which is kind of funny considering we're on part 5 of 9. We're about halfway through this game and we're just now getting to what I guess you could consider the first dungeon. Technically we did have the caves that we were exploring beforehand, but I think it's important to note once more that that first cave we went through is totally optional, and it's, probably a pretty common experience for a lot of people playing this blind that they just never stumbled onto that in the first place. And the second cave we went through to get to Rimuldar from Cole, kind of towards the east on the overworld map, was not really that long and was kind of more like a dark area with some slightly stronger enemies we had to get through to get to the next town, because we can't really do a lot there yet, so... Yeah, Galen's Grave is what I guess what you could consider one of two larger dungeons in this game that you need to get through for story purposes. So, we're finally here. Make sure you are well equipped for this. If you haven't upgraded your gear in quite a while, go hang around Rimuldar, grind up on the enemies there, and go purchase some better equipment. You don't need to get the top-of-the-line stuff necessarily, but just something that'll serve you well, give you a little extra offense and defense before you go in here, because enemies are a fair bit tougher in here. They're not terrible, but more deadly than that is the fact that it's easy to get turned around, especially dealing with the dark like we are here. Definitely make sure you have the glow spell before you come in here. It will help a ton. But yeah, even more so than the tougher enemies, it's just getting turned around here is a fairly easy thing to do, so if you don't have a sense of direction, it's gonna be a tricky one, not gonna lie. Even I had a pretty good sense of where I was going here, and I still kind of had to second guess myself to make sure I really knew what I was doing. Really like the tile set in this place, though. I really enjoy, and I think I might have also been cross-referencing by looking at maps that I had of this area on my tablet. I do that with my RPG Let's Plays for more complex areas sometimes, just to save you all the time of me getting turned around and lost and stuff. And I think I referenced this last episode, but there is, in fact, our second skeleton-type enemy in the game, the Skeleton Soldier, and it can heal itself. Unlike in other RPGs, where healing hurts the undead, this will actually, this is not the case here, and this guy will just keep healing himself over and over again, which is really frustrating, especially when we're only dealing 13 damage, and he's dealing like 21 to us. Not a good time. Maybe should have prepared a little bit more before going in here, but what can I say? I got a little cocky. So, please look forward to this wonderful slugfest I'm gonna have with the Skeleton Man. Just keeps healing himself, so we're gonna do so in turn. I don't know this for a fact, but I definitely have a suspicion that when enemies heal themselves, they don't heal as much as Aleph heals himself. I don't quote me on that. I just doing the math in my head sometimes, I feel like that's the case. But anyways, yeah, I decided that battle just wasn't worth it, and I just decided to run away from the intimidating Skeleton Man instead, like a brave hero would. So, but yeah, as I was saying earlier, I do think that it's very inspired to have your second town in the game be the place where the first dungeon is located, but it's behind a locked... Not only is it behind a locked door, it's also behind a locked door and also hidden, and you have to go out of bounds and find a hidden entrance to get there that you wouldn't know about without speaking to a NPC that is behind another locked door in the starting area of the game, and then also behind some damaged tiles, which is somewhat testing the main character's abilities to survive that, because I think unless you're super careful or really stock up on healing stuff, I don't even think you can get to the NPC that tells you where to go to get here without having leveled up a decent bit by this point in the game. So you really have to go on a wild goose chase just to get to this first dungeon, and I like that a lot. I know I talked about this last time a bit, but I enjoy that sense of adventure, and I think that maybe in some ways other RPGs could learn from the, maybe not modern RPGs, I think maybe a lot of modern games have gotten better about this sort of thing, but even, not too long after this game, kind of going into the 8-bit, the rest of the 8-bit era, and even into the 16-bit era, I think a lot of RPGs really got hooked on this format where, you'd go to a new area, you'd go to the town, and then you go to whatever dungeon is in that area, and then rinse and repeat. Kind of go to town, story happens, dungeon, more story, go to new area, town, stuff like that. And a lot of the explorative parts of the genre really started to, it was more about traversing the overworld map, especially with Final Fantasy with all the airship and ship stuff and chocobos and all that. I feel like maybe some of the adventure in terms of revisiting town locations and finding new hidden stuff, or progressing in the game by revisiting old locations and seeing parts of it that you didn't see before. I think some of that got kind of lost a little bit after some of these early games, and yeah, like I said, I think modern RPGs are maybe a little bit better about that, but kind of adding that little bit of Metroidvania flavor. Metroidvania isn't necessarily my favorite genre, but I do really enjoy, I think a lot of games could benefit from taking the lessons learned from games like that, and what feels satisfying in terms of exploration and discovery. So yeah, we got what we came here for, the Lyre of Ire, which was Galen's fancy instrument of choice. Lyre of Ire is just also a really fucking wonderful name. Good job, localizers. Though, yeah, I wonder what that was in Japanese. I'm sure it was also something silly. I'm gonna look it up while we're fighting this lunatic enemy. Google Chrome's being a little finicky right now. Oh, apparently it used to be known as the Silver Harp. That's a little boring, but oh well. Maybe it sounded a little more fanciful in the original Japanese. I can't say I'm familiar enough with the language to say if it kind of had that rhyme to it or what. I'm pretty sure in a lot of ways, I think these games' localizations add a fair bit of personality, or maybe, I don't want to say personality, because obviously these games just, you can tell from the art style and music and all that, they have their own identity and personality just by those merits alone, but I do think the localization does add a little bit of comedic flair to it that I know isn't everyone's cup of tea, but again, I think really suits the series well. They just wouldn't be the same without them. Like that enemy that I'm pretty sure is called Ledger Demand, which is a nice little play on words that I appreciate. It's kind of cutesy, but I dig it. Yeah, we just used up our last herb. Getting dangerous. There might be a point here where I just start running the fuck away from everything again, I'm not sure. Maybe at this point I'm beefy enough I don't need to worry about that. Again, I recorded these parts a long while ago. Constantly doubting myself and my sense of direction, taking frequent pauses, as you can see. Something really bothers me about those pillars not being the same color of stone as the walls and ground. I don't know why. And yeah, back here on this, I believe this is the entrance floor. I can't remember if we're fully back there yet or if this is the second floor. We do have this little treasure room tucked away. That's worth looking out for. Got a free magic key, some gold, and a stat-raising seed out of it, which is nice. I think we're almost to the exit now. If we ever stop getting attacked by these lemon-colored bats. Yeah, there we go. I think that's the stairs out. One more fight, Geist. Fight. And then we're out of here. That is one thing, I don't know. I would have gone a different direction with it, I think, but I don't like that this dungeon has a ghost enemy called Fightgeist and another one called Spitegeist, you know. Thematic naming and all that, but I would have appreciated a different ghost pun for the Spitegeist. I don't think they needed to double back around. And yeah, that guy finally got the fuck out of the way so I could grab that extra torch, but we don't really need it, so whatever. In fact, I think we're gonna just sell it right away. So yeah, you can see that we have these key items in our inventory that are really starting to take up space, which is becoming a bit of a problem. I've been holding on to this old iron shield forever, and I believe that wasn't a mistake. If I recall correctly, I explicitly did that on purpose because I wanted to, sell it kind of as a form of, you know, that was like reliable cash that I couldn't lose. You know, if I were to die in that dungeon, whenever you die, your money gets cut in half. So if I had sold that shield before going into the dungeon, I would have lost that money. What I probably should have done, though, is used the, there's like a little item storage unit in the first town that you can use to store stuff. I really should have got it out of my inventory and done that, but I forgot. Oops. But yeah, we can go all the way back over to this guy in the northeast, kind of go to the northeastern part, kind of where Cole is, and then it's through that mountain pass there if you don't remember the direction of this place from when we first went here. And yeah, we can get the Staff of Rain, which is one of 2 important items that we need to further our main quest at some point. So yeah, this is just me walking back through. You can see Cole is a little bit to the, I think it was to the northeast of where that little pass came out of. Can't remember. Or maybe it's to the south of here. Starting to lose my confidence. Yeah. See, that's the eastern cave there, so Cole is to the north. I can't remember. I think this is just me walking around a little bit because I needed just a few more gold coins before I could buy whatever I wanted to buy in Cole. We'll see whenever I go back into town. But yeah, I just decided to take a quick little detour to get a little bit extra cash. And of course, there are more extra locked doors we can access over here, which is always nice. Yeah, that's what we wanted. We wanted that full plate armor. Now we can be the big tanky boy that we always wanted to be. At the cost of basically all our cash. Went from 300 gold armor to 3,000 gold armor. So yeah, see, so that one door is just a trick. You don't need to unlock that. You can just walk around it so you can talk to this guy. And yeah, this guy is kind of useless because by the time you can access him, he gives you a hint about where you can get the hint about where the fairy flute is. But by the time you're in Rimuldar, chances are you probably already found his son who tells you about the fairy flute, so he's kind of superfluous. I guess if you really just aren't paying attention, it's easy for that guy to really point you in the right direction, but yeah, just kind of seems unnecessary. Or at least unnecessary to put behind a locked door. I don't know why they felt the need to do that. Maybe it's just a convoluted joke. Like, oh, we made you waste a key, but I don't know. Stop by the inn for a bit. We are not going to go for round 2 of Puff Puff. We got our fill for this playthrough. It's time we make our way. I actually don't remember where we're going. I think we're going to the south from here. That sounds about right to me. Because we didn't really fully explore that area around Rimuldar. And there's some stuff to show off there. Some pretty sketchy looking stuff. So yeah, we're gonna go back here again. we are not yet going to go into the locked away part of this cave. That will be next episode, I promise. Many episodes of build-up for this cave. But yeah, we can, you can see now that we have the glow spell, you can really see this area a lot better. It's not that big. Just keep walking south and you're there. So yeah, a little bit to the west, directly out of that cave, you can see there's this part of the world map that we just can't exactly get to. I don't know why I left this battle in. That might have been an editing mistake. I'm sorry, everyone. Whatever, it's fine. It gives me more time to talk about this. So, yeah, you can see very clearly this is the kind of, chasm, or, whatever you would call that oceanic, terrain thing. I know there's a proper, like, name for that, like a strait, I guess, that we need to cross over so we can get to the final dungeon that we keep hearing all this prophetic stuff about using the rain's bow and all that, fancy stuff, so that's exactly where we're trying to get to, is we're trying to cross that, that gap in the overworld map so we can get to the final area. Leveled up again. Finally hit double digits. It's very nice. A lot of 4s on that level up. But we finally learned the fizzle spell for ourselves, which is pretty nice. Now we can stop enemies from using spells of their own, which for some late game enemy types is actually a pretty convenient ability to have on hand. Not something to be used willy-nilly necessarily, but there are times where you just don't want to take a fireball to the face necessarily, or, get put to sleep or whatever, so nice to be able to cancel that out. So this is something that I wanted to try out now that we're fighting the gold golem here. Well, first of all, I cast Fizzle, and it doesn't actually impact the golem. I don't even think the golem has any magic spells, so that was very silly of me to begin with, but we learned about fairy flutes being able to put golems to sleep, and I wanted to see if it actually worked on the gold golem. So it plays this very nice song, as you can hear. It doesn't do jack shit, so it does not impact gold golems. When they're painted gold, they are immune to the fairy flute. But I promise you, there is another golem in this game that we will be able to put to sleep. But you would think it would work on every golem type, but no. If they're gold, they're just impervious to the sounds of the fairies, I guess. So these enemies are your new best friend. They're very, very tough and can really deal some solid damage to you if you don't have good armor. They just hit really fucking hard and they have a lot of health, but they drop ridiculous amounts of gold, as you would hope from a gold golem after you beat them. So they are actually really good enemies to grind up on if you need more cash. So that's actually most of the time I spend grinding in this playthrough is kind of in this area where these gold golems spawn. Because more than the experience points, I really just needed to get better equipment, and yeah, it's that shit's expensive. So look at this critical hit, 51 points of damage. God damn, we're getting up there in terms of damage numbers. But yeah, with the full plate armor, not dealing as much damage as it has done previously to us. For those of you who remember some of our past deaths this playthrough. But yeah, that one guy to the south will not talk to us just yet until we have proof of our birthright, which we're going to need to work on getting. And in fact, we're going to need to go all the way across the world to get that, so we still got a little bit of a doozy to go through for the main quest yet before we can get to the final area, but it's in sight. Like, literally, it's in sight. We can see the island that the end of the game takes place on, but we can't get there quite yet. We need some magical mumbo-jumbo, and apparently, you know, birth diploma before we can, or birth certificate, not birth diploma. What the? You don't graduate when you're born. What the fuck am I talking about? We need a birth certificate before we can apparently prove that we're worthy of using the power of the rainbow. Honestly, we could have just bought Skittles. This would have made the process so much easier. And yeah, we really need to stock back up on magic keys. Just whenever you run out, just go back and buy more. You can never have enough magic keys in this game. You're always going to want more. Walking back out. Fighting some wolves. And yeah, at this point in the game, we're doing pretty good damage to a lot of the overworld random encounters close to town like this. Now this guy right here is going to sell us a Chimera Wing, which we're going to use, and we're just going to go all the way back to the first town in the game again. Or technically, the castle. Tantagel Castle. And I believe this is where I finally go into town. Yeah, okay. I should have done this a long time ago. Just go all the way back to this inn here. Oh, first we're going to spend the night because of, you know, you gotta heal up. Only 3 gold. Very, very useful. Now, we're going to talk to this lady right here, and we are just going to start depositing our cash because, well, actually not our cash just yet, it looks like, but our items. But we probably should have deposited our cash. I don't know if I necessarily needed to hold on to that 1,000. Maybe I do deposit it and I just don't remember, but it's always better to deposit your cash just because when you die, you don't lose. Yeah, okay, see, I'm doing it right here. Good job past me, once again. It's always better to deposit your gold because when you die, you don't lose anything that you've deposited, so just keep that in mind. It's always unfortunate when you grind up a shit ton of money and then you die and literally half of that is gone. And of course, the more money you have, the worse your losses are gonna be because it's just a 50% cut, so yeah, just be safe, always deposit your money, and I'm going to see you next time for Let's Play Dragon Quest Part 6. Bye.